Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
All right, welcome to Think Big with Dan Qasim. So if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us where you live and what you do for a living.
Yes, so I'm Lyndsey Brantley. I'm the founder and owner of CAMELLIA ALISE and the CAMELLIA ALISE Academy. We are located in Houston, Texas. We have a full service spa, and then we also have a full service beauty institute where we certify students in different spa techniques and teach them how to successfully launch their own spa businesses.
Awesome. So how did you get the idea to start this company?
Oh, yeah. So I actually have a degree in structural engineering, which has nothing to do with beauty. And after a layoff, I said, okay, what am I going to do with my time out? And I was having my own personal skincare issues. So I started studying the beauty industry. I formulated my own skincare products. And then after a few years, opened our brick and mortar spa. Couple years after that, people were asking, how do you do this? How do you grow your business? How do you launch? And then we launched the academy shortly after.
Awesome. So in terms of launching this academy, what makes it successful? What do you do specifically that separates you from your competition?
Well, yeah. So one thing is we are one of the only vocational schools in the state of Texas that teaches some of our specialized techniques. So you can't learn some of the body sculpting and advanced facial analysis programs anywhere else. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we actually offer our students a kind of lifetime alumni connection where they get mentoring. So you don't just, come to class and then think you're an expert in everything, right? You're going to still have questions. So we build a community around the institute so that our students stay supported throughout their entrepreneurial journeys.
Can you just talk more about this community? Because I'm very intrigued. What does this look like? Is it like a Facebook group, a Slack channel? Where are your students hanging out and having these discussions?
Yeah, so actually it is Facebook. So we have Facebook groups where we share resources with the students. Whenever something new happens in the industry, we make announcements. So we keep them connected through a Facebook group. And then we also have an annual spa summit, which is for our students, but also for aspiring spa entrepreneurs, where they get to come in and learn about, taxes. We have lawyers that come in and talk about contracts. We have demonstrations where they learn about new techniques. So we have in-person events as well as, the Facebook group so that they can continuously communicate.
When it comes to your training, is it all in person or do you do any virtual? What does that look like?
So we have both. There are certain curriculums, like let's say non-invasive laser liposuction, right? That's better taught in person. I don't really recommend doing that one online. So we have mostly in person, but we also have an online university because we do understand, some people can't travel to us. So we have the online university, but it includes live Zooms so that if you can't be here to learn everything, hands on, we are going to watch you do everything and we're going to critique you in live time. So we have both. We have an online university and we have in-person classes.
So in terms of the online, what does that look like? It's like a one-on-one, or are the students all taking turns at on Zoom? Because I feel even I'm sure maybe COVID changed some things, but I feel like many people even before that didn't think this kind of learning was possible online. So what does that look like?
Yeah, so all of our online classes are actually self-paced where the students have they have anywhere between 30 to 45 days to complete the theory portion, and then they have another month to complete the one-on-one hands-on. So when they do the hands-on, it's one-on-one. We do offer classes with a 3-to-1 ratio in person. But if they took something digitally, they're going to get a one-on-one to make sure that we critique them. Or if you come in person, it's normally 3 students to 1 instructor where you get to work on a live model.
So in terms of the physical spa location, so are you planning on expanding? Like, what is your vision for that line of the business?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a 6,000 square foot facility, and we just expanded actually into this new space about 2 years ago. Before that, we had 2,000. So, we tripled. So we're definitely growing. We are going to be expanding. We're actually acquiring another spa. So right now it's just going to be one location, but we're looking into, maybe a couple of other cities in the Texas region, adding a couple of different locations. Right now, though, we're just expanding here in this area.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, and Houston's a huge market, so that's a great place to be. So, what would you say is the biggest challenge that you're facing right now in the business?
To be honest, there's everyday small challenges, but right now, I guess the biggest challenge is we are, since COVID, in an environment where marketing strategies are constantly changing and evolving. And so just making sure that we stay on top of the best way to capture our audience. We are very clear with who our audiences are for the academy and for the spa, but how we reach them is ever changing. One day everybody's shopping on Facebook, the next one everybody's on Instagram, the next one they're on TikTok. So it's always just trying to figure out how we can stay in front of our audience. That's always the biggest challenge.
So, like, I guess, like, as of today, what has been working for you? Because, yeah, I mean, like, for sure, I mean, social media is great, running ads is great, but you really have to pinpoint that. So, is that really what's been most effective? Is running ads, or are you doing like newsletters, Google SEO? Like, what has been the most effective, channel for you to get the word out about your courses and about your spa as well?
Well, actually, digitally, our thing that works well for us the most is our YouTube channel. So we do a series called Wine and Wellness. Every Wednesday, we go live. We teach about business, we teach about different techniques, just kind of giving a sneak peek into who we are. So that is one of the ways that the students find us. But what I find for the spa, the number one way for us to actually attract clients is community networking. It's actually getting out there, meeting other business owners, meeting other, people at local charities, local business networking events. That is actually what gets clients in the door more than anything else for the spa. So really, the physical presence for the spa and then YouTube for our academy is what's working the best.
So in terms of these in person, I think that's a very good way. And I think especially since COVID, people have kind of, moved more towards the in-person direction. So if you're going to like to a networking event, like what does your pitch look like to convince somebody to say, hey, listen, like come to my spa as opposed to some other spa down the street?
Well, I mean, honestly, what I normally start off with is, when was the last time you took a day to yourself, right? And then most people are like, what do you mean? Like, so that's normally, I make people think about their own self-care. And then I explain that we don't just provide massages, but we provide a full service experience. So you don't just come in, get a massage, and leave. We actually provide a relaxation lounge. We have a steam and sauna room. So you can come in and spend the day with us. You're not just running out the door. So we provide a very different experience. And once I, kind of tell people what we offer, normally they're sold.
No, it's true. I think it's good because lots of these big companies are just trying to get as many people in and out the door as quickly as possible, and they don't really care about the experience. It's more of just volume and numbers. But I think what you're focusing on more is a quality versus quantity. Obviously, you want to have people, but you also are focusing on making sure that you're providing that high quality of service for them.
Exactly. And so that's kind of one of the things that sets us apart. We are currently the number one spa destination in the city of Houston, as well, spa party, because we don't just focus on the individual, but we also cater to groups where they can come in. Two or three of you guys can get massages, two or three of you can be getting facials, and the rest of you guys are in the steam and sauna. So we also cater to big groups.
So when it comes to technology, what kind of role does that play when it comes to your business?
When it comes to technology, it plays a big role, right? We have an online university, that we have to make sure that everything is nice and easy for our clients to access. We do depend on, social media. We also provide different kinds of spa products. So we have to, have shipping and communication that's effective. So technology plays a very big part in our day-to-day operations.
So when it comes to technology, obviously, people are looking at the best ways to use things like AI at a very high level. So how, what role does AI play in your business? And if not, like, where do you see it, potentially coming in and helping add value and making the next year or so?
Okay, so my husband makes fun of me because sometimes he calls me a dinosaur. I have not really started incorporating a lot of AI. I have a lot of different people explaining to me how we can utilize it to really maximize our marketing and, writing different things. But as I kind of mentioned before, one of the biggest ways that we grow our business is still through in person. So I have not really incorporated a lot of AI yet in our marketing strategies, but it's something that we're looking to incorporate soon.
But have you looked at, for example, like AI as sort of a customer service agent, like automatically booking appointments, sending reminders, or just even following up with your prospects or former clients? Just say, hey, like, do you want to go and get this, treatment? Like, especially, like, have you looked in AI for that sort of thing?
I mean, I've looked at it for like language assistance with, helping us with reviews and things like that, but I haven't really used it for that because our scheduling systems and the software that we already have in place, it automates a lot of that stuff now. And so I haven't really just looked at, okay, how can we use AI to now do that stuff? Because I'm paying for the software to do it. So that's why, like I said, he calls me the dinosaur. He's like, you really started like getting into how AI can really, increase your revenue. So that's something that we're looking at right now in this last quarter of the year so that we can implement more in 2024.
Yeah, for sure. That's exciting. So what would you say in terms of, like, you were talking about scalability, adding more locations? Like, what is the goal in terms of revenue? Like, what number are you looking to get to by next year?
So we're already a seven-figure business. So we're looking at increasing by about maybe 20 to 30% in revenue from what we've been doing the past couple of years. Unlike many businesses, we're very, very fortunate that COVID, we actually grew. We actually scaled quite a bit during COVID. And so our goal is just to continue scaling, but on, a modest level. I'm not going to say we want to, because we did. We had like triple our revenue every year over year during COVID. But now it's like, okay, we want to make sure that we stabilize that growth and that we're increasing, maybe 20 or 30% a year.
In terms of scaling during COVID, was it more from the training? Because I can't imagine. I mean, I'm not sure because it's like, I'm sure people were not going as often to spas, at least in 2020. So what did that look like for you?
Yes, absolutely. So most of our scaling was with our academy because of the great resignation. I mean, honestly, you had so many people that were like, okay, first of all, they've lost their jobs or they're quitting their jobs and, they're ready to start something of their own. So our academy definitely was the catalyst in our growth over the past 3 years for sure.
In terms of the academy, like, are you teaching somebody to start their own business, or is it even teaching people to go into a business like yours and be a professional? Like, what is that? I guess, like, sort of look like for somebody that wanted to participate in this academy?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're doing both. Now, I will say that about 70% of the students that we get are people who want to start their own businesses. So when we're doing everything, we're teaching them a skill. Like we're teaching them how to perform certain sculpting or facial aesthetic services. So we're teaching you the technical side. So it doesn't matter whether you're going to go work for someone else or you're going to work for yourself, that skill, is available to you either way. But we do touch on pricing, beginning marketing. So we kind of give them what they need to get started, and then they can either use that to get a job at a spa that's already established, or they can use that to launch their own. So we work with both. It's normally, like I said, about 70% of the people are people that want to start their own business. And then sometimes they'll pay us, to mentor and do different things long term. But most of the time, they're going to go out there, start their own business, and then they're going to use the alumni group to kind of help with the support as they go along their journey.
Makes sense. So obviously, starting a business can incur a lot of costs. So what would you say is the most cost-effective way for somebody to get started?
Yeah, absolutely. You can start, we have classes, honestly, digitally that start off as low as 299, but I normally tell my students to put together a good $2,000 budget or so, so that you can take maybe a $600 class that'll go through one or two really good skills. Probably going to need at least, $500 for equipment. And then, I would say set aside maybe $500 for starting marketing. So you can really and truly take $2,000 and start a business, and scale from there. You don't have to, be rich or put tens of thousands in. You can start on a small scale and build from there.
Right, but I'm saying, so for example, right, if somebody's just getting started, like would they start from their apartment, or like, I guess, like in terms of or just go to somebody's home, like, because obviously, it costs money to rent a place. So what does that look like? Or I guess, like, what do you recommend for people?
Once again, everybody is kind of different. Most of the time, I do tell my students, if you can help it, don't start at home. Get a salon suite where you're going to be paying, a small amount to get started, or you can even do daily rates at salon spas where, you just go rent a space there. And that's kind of how I tell them to start. I don't tell people to, go out there and get this huge brick and mortar to get started, because it is a lot more that way. It's more effective to get just one room, build up your clientele, and then expand from there. That's exactly what I did. So that's normally what I recommend. We do have some that start at home, but there's a lot that comes with that because the state stipulates, what has to be done, what room you can do it in. So you have to make sure that you're compliant.
So what does that compliance look like? I mean, you said they have to be in certain rooms. So, and I'm sure also that you're probably, from like a legal side, there's more risk involved. Somebody can come in your home, and they can come and trip and fall and all that. So, like, what does that look like in terms of like those regulations?
Well, okay, so there's a lot. So that's not even something I can honestly go through like right now.
Yeah.
But I will say that the state gives you a list of certain things you can do. For instance, you can't start, this business and have like clients come into your bedroom, right? There has to be a specific space set aside. There has to be, a bathroom and hot water, in an area. Like there's a list. It's not very hard to stay compliant because the state literally tells you what you need to do, but there is a pretty large list of things you have to go through if you're going to do it at home. And it's important because your clients need to be safe. You do too. We also go through insurance because there's different types of insurance depending on where you're going to be. So there's a lot that goes along with it, but we do make sure that our students are informed well.
Makes sense. So what would you say is your top business priority in the next 3 to 6 months?
Top business priority, we're actually expanding our academy. So we're going through like some state licensing review stuff. So that is like the number one priority. And then our summit is in 7 days. So that's like the second thing we're working on. So it's really and truly more than anything, finishing out the year strong. Finishing out the year strong, and preparing for 2024 is the third biggest thing. We got to make sure we plan it out, map it out. I'm big on what I call my business GPS, making sure that I know where we are going. So those are the top priorities.
Makes sense. So what would you say is the one biggest piece of advice that you wish you knew before you started this business?
The one big piece of advice that I would give any entrepreneur is you don't know what you don't know. So get a mentor. When I first started off, I leaned heavily on organizations like SBDC, Small Business Development Center, and SCORE, the retired professionals, to help me fill in the gaps because I was a first generation entrepreneur who knew nothing, and I knew that I was going to need help. So you don't know what you don't know. Get a mentor, get somebody behind you that can help you fill in some of those knowledge gaps.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned Score, because we use Score also, and they're great. I always tell people, if you have not heard of them, Score, I mean, is a great non-for-profit, and they help us a lot, especially like for us, we're also like a new company. So it's like, we don't have lots of budget. So it's a very amazing resource that's available, for free.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So if somebody watching this wanted to reach out, do you mind sharing your website or social media handles? Just best way to get in contact with you.
Absolutely. So on social media, it's all the same, whether you're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, it's all at Camellia Alise, which is spelled CAMELLIA ALISE. So Camellia Alise. Or if you're interested more so in the classes, you can go to at Camellia Academy, which is where we specifically talk about like sculpting techniques and stuff. Our website is www.camelliaalise.com. So pretty consistent across all branding. And if you go to our website, you can see products, our spa services, as well as our academy. So you can get everything right there on our website.
Sounds great. Well, thank you so much for your time, and we're rooting for you.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.